dad was a jack of all trades.
Night, and this is a morning cafe with me, Linda Alela. Beautiful Wednesday morning as we all look forward to a great day, and so much as we discuss matters politics. We see the exits of different officials in government as they all seek to present their bids, that is political bids, to their respective constituents, or so to speak, and we'll be looking at that and the ramifications of the same. But importantly, we all acknowledge that such was expected. What would it mean for government to operate for the better part of about 6 months before we get to the general election? We definitely get to discuss that. This also, as the president himself has declared more or less the same, that his gloves off, and much as he is still the head of the state, very important that he gets into the world of politics. And as many would argue, the president as well has a right to put his hand and his view as pertaining to what would play out politically, and most importantly, just look at that one individual that he deems fit to take up the challenge from him, so that he would continue, or she would continue, with his legacy. And so we'll be looking at that also, as the DP coming out, guns blazing and firing salvos at the president, reminding him that everything that Jubilee has been able to achieve is because they have worked together, and therefore he cannot be rooted out on the successes of Jubilee, which is what President Uhuru Kenyatta is selling out to a majority of the people, or to the people of Kenya. Many have argued that such is also a conversation that is bound to help Right Honorable Raila Odinga has a smooth sail to presidency. But will it work? Yes, is what we'll be asking this morning. Remember, the hashtag is Morning Cafe at Linda_Alela TV47KE. Do you suppose if President Uhuru Kenyatta then would come out to declare Right Honorable Raila Odinga as his preferred presidential candidate, whether this would be a plus for him or a minus for him? An endorsement from President Uhuru Kenyatta, would it mean an extra, chunk of votes coming from the mountain or not? That's what we'll be looking at this morning, and so much more. So make sure that you keep us up to tabs as well as to what is happening wherever it is that you are. That is under the hashtag Morning Cafe once again at Linda_Alela TV47KE. My name is Linda Alela. This is Morning Cafe. We kickstart the broadcast right away. Later on, we'll be hitting the kitchen. It's very important that we do that. That is towards the last hour of the program, from 10 going all the way, from 9 going all the way to 10. But there in between, we also have a crucial discussion as pertaining to the common thing of Mubaba. I mean, in most cases, you have realized that a majority of young girls would go out there and get enticed by the oldies. Well, whether it's the money, whether it's the comfort, Where is the care that they offer is one thing that we seek to understand this morning, as well as the aspect of Ben 10s. Yes, the Mumama as well would pull her short and make sure that they get to woo the young tax. Just what does it mean in terms of the growth of society and the morals that we once held as a people? Is what we'll be looking at later. So karibu sana, let's get to do this all the way to 10 a.m. It's always a pleasure doing it with you, as I look forward to have you all the way. So we take a look at what the papers detail this morning. The Standard newspaper, the People Daily, as well as the Daily Nation, and we'll be looking at the front page of the People Daily briefly, just to see what has been captured on this 9th day of February 2022. As you can see, the faces, some of those who left office yesterday. We are bound to see more of these exits, and that definitely would mean the president will kind of have, a cabinet that is more of a shadow cabinet. But then we'll be taking a look to get to understand what the ramifications of these are, or whether then the checks and balances are put to make sure that, yes, the government activities continue to run up until the next president takes up the mantle. Focus turns to Yatani, Munya, and 3 CSs resign, or as 3 CSs resign. And yes, we'll be taking a look at all that. Deadline 2 PSs, a host of CSs also quit to vie for various seats, that is in the August election, as ward representatives get a shocker that they too must leave office by today. It's interesting, a story captured on page 4, 5, and 6. So we'll be talking about the exits, the ultimatums, and what it would mean for respective positions as they are left vacant by the people who are holding these positions. Modern Cancer Center boom for coast patients, a story captured on page 7. President says the government is committed to decentralizing oncology services to all parts of the country. We'll be taking time to unpack what this new system, or this new mode of making sure that we're able to attain universal health care is all about, and what it is that President Uhuru Kenyatta would present to the people as pertaining to matters health before his exit. Very, very important. We get to know what is in the bag for us, and most importantly, how it would come in handy for the people of Kenya to make sure that we are able to enjoy health. And Ruto, I'll continue taking credit for Jubilee successes, or success, as I had started by mentioning it, firing guns, or, just responding to what it is that President Uhuru Kenyatta said. And, the DP says that there's no way the president can claim to have done well in terms of, how Jubilee has managed to take care of government activities without incorporating his name on that, because he says on the table they sat to discuss these crucial matters as pertaining to health, to discuss a couple of other things as pertaining to having electricity across the different parts of the country, and so much more in regards to development. And therefore, he's been part and parcel of the few successes, or a majority of the successes, that the Jubilee would claim to have. We'll be looking at that as we continue with the broadcast, and we get to understand the ramifications of this push and pull between the president and his deputy, as we also are set for a tight political battle come August the 9th. Fighting cancer, new care center in Mombasa to ease load at KU Hospital. Story captured on page 10. As I have said, we'll be taking time to unpack what this is all about, and what then Kenyans are supposed to brace themselves for. And just looking at some of the birds that we would celebrate right here. Spreading wings, the invasive house crow, infamous at the coast, spotted inland. Story captured on page 2 and 3 of the Daily Nation. We also be taking a look at that. Well, in the event that you'd love to get to more details of this incredible bird, you can always check out that story, as I have told you, captured on the page of the Daily Nation, page 2 and 3. Getting rid of the destructive bird has been difficult because it recognizes human faces and knows where traps are set, thus avoiding them. Just why would they want to get rid of this bird is one thing that one would want to question. On the world's estimated 51 species and subspecies of crow, the house crow is infamously labeled as the world's most destructive. Well, initially only found in Mombasa and other coastal towns, grounds. It was in January this year, spotted in Marigat, 700 kilometers away from the coast, causing a serious concern among birders and conservationists. That's interesting. A piece, you can always grab your copy and get to more details of this. And away from what has been captured on the Daily Nation, let's briefly take a look at, well, we still are actually on the Daily Nation. Kalonzo, the official kingmaker, gains more clout. We get to understand why it is that it appears that a majority would wish then to quote Kalonzo Musyoka. Many would argue that One Kenya Alliance is probably playing hard to get, but more or less as well trying to make sure that they're able to balance so that once they're able to work with this side or that other side, it would be easy for them to call the shots as well as declare their interests, which are likely to be met. And so we'll be looking at what that would mean and where then the numbers are. That is the biggest question. The new faultiness, new figures by IEBC have as well revealed that where the biggest and toughest battles for votes will be fought, with Rift Valley and Eastern gaining substantially. That is from new registrations. A story captured on page 7. A plus for the DP? Well, certainly a question that is worth asking, and a couple of numbers that you can see right there as pertaining to the registration of voters and how then we are all braced as the people to proceed and vote for the preferred next country CEO, and again the leadership that will be under him. And as I have said, it is not so easy for the DP himself, and Hague clouds hang over. Well, the ICC wants to interview witness who testified against Ruto in his post-election violence case. A story captured on page 8 just of what ramification will this case that is ongoing be, and especially on the bid of Deputy President William Ruto. Is a question of wait and see, as we all are keen to see what plays out at the Hague. And away from it, remember, he's just been talking to the president and saying that, you know what, you cannot root me out from the successes of the Jubilee Party. He says bring it on, and has dared President Uhuru Kenyatta. Will definitely be looking at that. It forms the basis of our conversation this morning. Briefly, the Standard newspaper, gloves off as DP tells Uhuru, bring it on. I guess that is as clear as day. Mass exodus begins, and we have seen the resignations. 3 cabinet secretaries, 5 CAS, and a host of other state officers quit to seek elective seats. That has been captured on page 12 of the Standard newspaper. We'll be looking at that as well keenly, but as I have said earlier on, this is what was expected, and therefore I would want to believe that these particular offices are all set to make sure that they're able to take the mantle up until the next elections are conducted, and probably the next president then will have their cabinet in order and many other sports. The new tyranny of numbers, 21.7 million number of voters so far registered, and yes, we'll be looking at that voter registration process, what these numbers would mean, whether they are going to make any changes as compared to what played out in 2017, and who would be able to enjoy level of support. When you're talking about the Rift Valley gaining more numbers, one would definitely argue that then that's a plus for DP Ruto, because that has been looked at as his home turf and his hot spot, and so we can only wait to see, as captured on page 4 and 5. What is in the Universal Health Park is a question that a majority of us are all asking. On this special report captured on page 10 and 11, they try to unpack this. You can grab your copy and get to have more details. As I have said, we all look forward to get a hold of health as sector specialists so that they can as well help us decipher on the the good, bad and ugly of AFCON. We all are celebrating the end of it. A story captured on page 46 and 47. The intrigues of it, the aftermath, just getting to understand and comparing notes, having a review of what the AFCON was all about as we all continue to celebrate the win of Senegal, and looking forward to see how then our respective African countries will represent us at the World Cup. That aside, it is important that we now take a short break, or even before we take a short break, break, let's briefly look at what the roads look like. I can almost tell it's not so ugly this morning, and therefore there's really nothing much to look at as we are keen on what is happening on the roads. This is Limuru Road on the sides of Ruaka, and going down to these sides of the Northern Bypass, it is evidently so clear. The Northern Bypass doesn't look ugly this morning, and therefore if you're taking that direction, not to worry. Drops us somewhere around Thika Road after connecting from these sides of the Eastern Bypass, and a bypass roundabout from Riru going all the way down. This is Githurai, and Thika Road is not looking so ugly. Somewhere around Garden City Mall, there's some tenets of traffic, but then again it eases and it appears like it is moving, and all the way down to Muthaiga Country Club, or this sides of Muthaiga, a bit of traffic. It becomes a little bit heavy, but then eases up, and going into the city, it is all rosy. Westlands doesn't look ugly this morning, as you can clearly tell that the roads are not badly off. Roadwork still ongoing around this Kianda school, but that does not cause any form of alarm as pertaining to traffic on that road. And on this other side, Ngong Road is not looking as ugly this morning as well. It is all a bit calm and, you know, easy for those ones who are stepping out a little bit early. And Bagathi Way as well is not bad. Wilson Airport around there's some roadworks ongoing, but as well no cause for alarm. The Southern Bypass is looking smooth this morning, as captured right there. And other key roads, let's see whether there's any place that we would be worried about. As I have said, Juja is here. Juja Road, you find that some tenets of traffic from different parts, but it is all as well moving as clearly indicated right there, so there's no cause for worry. Outer Ring Road from these sides of, say, Thika Road and going all the way down to and from is not looking so bad this morning. This is Outer Ring Road going all the way to Caltex, Umoja, Manyanja Road, and going down up to these sides as you're almost headed to the to Donholm. Then there's traffic there, a little bit heavy, but it doesn't look so bad. It is actually moving and down all the way to Embakasi, and you connected to Airport Road. The Airport Road here doesn't look so bad this morning on these sides of Embakasi, as you as well get to connect to the Eastern Bypass and Mombasa Road. Let's see, Cabanas bus stop, Mombasa Road around Imara Daima. It is quite heavy, as you can see, the red bit, and then it eases up. There's a roadworks ongoing, and so probably this could be informing the reason why there's some tenet of traffic along Mombasa Road. Going all the way to the Capital Center doesn't look bad, and on this side, Enterprise Road, as well as you are around Lunga industrial area, the roads are looking all smooth this morning. Let's see how it goes all the way to the city. Mombasa Road eases up, and so those are the key spots then that would be of worry. But as you can evidently see, it doesn't look so ugly across the city just yet. So if you are stepping out of the house, this is the time, so you're not caught up in any snarl up. As of that, I think it's now important that we take a short break, and then we come back with more news from my team.
If you got
distancing is not possible. Three-bedroomed rental apartments which function wake up to fantastic
USSD, SMS,
realtor to Thornton's akin to Kilimo Diaries. Be conversant with Kenya's will soothe your
process. Here is Paul Kirobi with the IEBC's missed targets ahead of the August election.
The Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission IEBC has attributed the voter apathy on delay in issuance of ID cards in the voter registration exercise that ended on the 6th of this month.
We decided that for each and every constituency, we'll give them 3 kits per constituency, which means they will have additional 6 clerks to do some outreach, to reach out to those areas that have got the IDs were issued late. And we'll do it maybe up to the end of the month. This will enable those who have not gotten the chance to go and actually register. So we'll also give to Huduma centers, the 52 Huduma centers. We'll also still give the kits that will be available.
A good number of youth and a section of Muslim community blaming the hectic process of identifying their citizenship for the low numbers. Meru IEBC manager Macharia Gichichi says only 20.1% of Kenyans have registered as voters in the region.
Majority of the youth are still holding waiting cards. They have applied for new IDs, but so far, as we conducted the exercise, they were still waiting to get them. The second challenge that we had for secondary schools, which are boarding schools, we had an opportunity to access them, but unfortunately, the students, especially the Form 3 and Form 4s, who have secured national IDs, they had left them at home.
Vijana wamekosa imani na hii serikali yetu kwa sababu wameahidiwa mara mingi. Kila uchaguzi unapokuja, wao wanaahidiwa ya kwamba wakuje waweze kujitokeza na kazi zitapatikana. Lakini hakuna kazi yenye wanasiasa wanaahidi ya vijana. Wakishaingia wamesahau maneno ya vijana. Vijana wanakuja wananunuliwa tu hapa hivi kwa shilingi 1000. Baada ya hapo wanasahaulika. Kazi inaenda, ukishapea mwanasiasa kazi akishatoka hutawahi muona tena.
Vijana wamemaliza shule, wasichana wamemaliza shule, lakini wanasumbuliwa kitambulisho, wanaambiwa walete ya babu yao, sijui ya nyanya yao, sijui nini, na wako na mabarua ya living certificate ya primary, wako nayo ya secondary, wako na birth certificate, lakini bado wanasumbuliwa wafanyiwe vetting.
The electoral body targeted at least 4.5 million Kenyans, but only registered 1 million new eligible voters in its second phase. Nairobi County is leading with the highest number of those who registered as voters in the second phase, with a total of 101,426, followed by Kiambu, Kakamega, Nakuru, Kisii, Uasin Gishu, Mombasa, and Kisumu. Pursuant to Article 88 of the Constitution, the Commission has resumed the constituency office-based continuous voter registration and revision of the voters' roll upon conclusion of the ECVR Phase 2. Voter registration exercise for people residing outside the country has so far enrolled 2,951 new voters. Paul Kirobi, TV47, Nairobi.
The Court of Appeal has ruled that all public officers vying in the August general election must quit by today, the 9th February 2022, in line with Section 43(5) of the Elections Act. 3 cabinet secretaries have already resigned to run for gubernatorial seats in Kericho, Turkana and Mandera counties, respectively, in the next general election. The 3 devolution cabinet secretary Charles Keter, his petroleum and counterpart John Munyes, and Aden Mohammed of the East African Community said they have relinquished their positions to pursue their political ambitions. As Joash Onsare reports, over 5 chief administrative secretaries have also tendered their resignation ahead of deadlines.
3 cabinet secretaries have resigned to vie for gubernatorial seat ahead of the next general election. First to throw in the towel was Devolution Cabinet Secretary Charles Keter, who is eyeing the Kericho governor's seat. 2 hours later, John Munyes of Petroleum and Mining tendered his resignation in a bid to pursue his political ambition. Munyes is eyeing Turkana County top job. And later, Abdi Mohammed, who is in charge of the East African Community docket, who will be vying for Mandera gubernatorial seat, joined the race.
I'm resigning from my office in government to focus my energy on contesting for the seat of governor of the great county of Kericho in August 9, 2022 elections. I have the vision and commitment and will pursue a development agenda that will grow the economy of the great county of Kericho.
Of Turkana are waiting for me because my next assignment, God willing, is going to run for the seat in Turkana, the seat of governor in Turkana. You know, Turkana, with all the problems it's facing.
I have today tendered my resignation, advising His Excellency the President that I will be moving forward to vie for the position of Governor for Mandera County, hopefully sometimes in August 2022.
Keter and Munyes, while addressing the media in Nairobi, said they will use the UDA and ODM parties respectively in the August 9th polls.
I'm going into a field of, I have competitors, and I believe I've never gone into an election without competition. So I believe in competition, and I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it, isn't it? And of course, it's obvious I'm going to UDA, isn't it? That is why I'm going to contest under UDA.
Complying with the law, the IBC says it. The new circular by Head of Public Service expects all of us to leave office today. And also to say why I'm running. I want to run with the right party. With Baba, we want to run this time as a Mio in Turkana to ensure we win it. That's the direction.
Various chief administrative secretaries in various ministries, Labour CAS Patrick Ntutu declared his interest for Narok governor position. John Musonik resigned as CAS Petroleum to vie for Bomet governor seat. CAS Hassan Nur Hassan from the Ministry of Education goes for Mandera top seat. Land CAS Gideon Mungaro goes for Kilifi gubernatorial race on an ODM ticket, hopefully after the party primaries.
Next, I'm heading to Narok County to fight for the seat of the governor of Narok County. I'll be vying for governor using the UDA party, United Democratic Alliance, that is associated with the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya.
Kwa maoni ya wananchi kule mashinani, kule ambako ninatoka, huo ndio mwelekeo ambao watu wanataka, watu wa Kilifi na Pwani kwa jumla, kwamba wangependelea wakati nikitafuta kiti ya kuwa gavana wa Kilifi, kwamba hiyo mwelekeo wangu wangefurahi ningepigania kiti nikiwa kwa Azimio. Yeah.
Kenya is a democratic country, and everybody is competing based on philosophies and policies that you believe in. That's what has taken me to ODM.
Even as several public servants are yet to resign, the Court of Appeal on Tuesday ruled that all public officers wishing to vie in general election must quit by tomorrow 9th of this month, in line with Section 43, subsection 5 of the Elections Act. As the public servants' resignations ends tomorrow, we'll be keen to see which vehicle the servants will be using as we head for the August polls. Joash Onsare, TV 47, Nairobi.
And in the same breath, with the massive exit of government by top civil servants eyeing political seats, all eyes are on President Uhuru Kenyatta, with pundits saying that the head of state is spoiled for choice. 3 cabinet secretaries have already hung their boots, with 4 others expected to resign by close of business today. But how will President Uhuru Kenyatta fill the gap left behind to ensure that the continuity of government is on? Mwangi Maina dissects through the ifs, buts, and why.
As the August 9 polls beckon, top civil servants have already started hanging their boots in readiness to toss themselves into political arena, with 3 cabinet secretaries calling it quits and 4 more others expected to resign tomorrow ahead of the resignation deadline. This as President Uhuru Kenyatta is expected to reorganize his house.
There is a principle that says the state must live. The state will not be subsumed by the political processes. The state will have to survive the political processes. Administration must survive the political processes, and government functions must survive the political processes so that they can be, or rather in readiness for handover to the next administration that comes up.
As Kenyans wait on the courts to give their verdict on whether or not cabinet secretaries are supposed to resign before vying for elective seats, constitutional lawyer and governance expert Ndegwa Jiro aver they should be allowed to continue serving in cabinet while running for political offices, since the deputy president, a member of cabinet and who has been campaigning for the presidential seat, has not been barred or required to resign prior.
If they are then supposed to resign so that they can participate in an election, then the question would be, why is the deputy president not also resigning and is a member of the cabinet and is participating in an election? So those are some of the fundamental questions that needs to be answered.
As of tomorrow, all eyes will be on President Kenyatta to see whom he will pick to fill the vacant positions left behind in his cabinet. Ndegwa Jiro opines President Kenyatta is poised for choice to either bring newcomers on board or appoint existing CSs in other ministries to serve in acting capacity.
So President Kenyatta has two options. One, he has the option of either appointing new members of the cabinet to participate, to hold the vacant positions, because the law does not bar any person from being appointed as cabinet member, irrespective of the period of the time that is remaining to serve as a cabinet member. So the president can still propose some names, take them to parliament for vetting, and then they also continue to serving in the vacant positions.
Handshake politics will indubitably be at play in determining who will get what position. Ndegwa Jiro says it will be a good opportunity for the president to showcase to the country his unity rallying call by bringing on board both sides of the political divide, despite the backlash expected.
To demonstrate goodwill, out of course, fill those positions with members with whom we are intending to coalesce with. So to grant the president an open envelope or an open letter to demonstrate that we are going beyond Jubilee to contemplating proper and conducive and friendly political environment. So he has the option of demonstrating that at the moment. But the risky is, if he opts to demonstrate that at the moment, he is of course going to be accused of having brought guys who are out of government in government. So the president is not short of options, and going by the principle that the state must survive and the state must live, so the state will survive all political maneuvers and political processes.
In the event President Kenyatta brings on board newcomers to the cabinet, the constitutional expert says they will be tasked with a huge responsibility of carrying on the government's agenda of proper service delivery to Kenyans 6 months to the general election.
The newcomers will still have impact, a significant impact as the already serving members of the cabinet. For one reason, we will have political impact in the political machinations, that the president lives and means what he says. If the president believes, and actually he believes in the process of the unification of the country, he can take that opportunity to demonstrate that aspect. That yes, the handshake was not just a handshake. It was meant to make sure that there is social cohesiveness, there is political cohesiveness, and there is social cohesiveness. So the president can take that option. The other thing is,
as of now, Mining, Devolution and East African Affairs Cabinet Secretaries have tendered their resignations to President Uhuru Kenyatta.
All right, Wakili Ndegwa Njiru is here with us this morning, probably to unpack that, or better yet, we will shelve his comments now that he's already extensively expounded that with Mwangi Maina, but as well we'd love to hear what the rest of the guests who are members of parliament will be telling us as pertaining to that. Away from it, still on more on politics, barely a day after President Uhuru Kenyatta slammed his deputy over his work ethics, well, the second in command has hit back at his boss, saying theories are made in offices but implemented on the ground and sometimes on top of cars. The DP insists he played a major role in ensuring the Jubilee administration delivers on its manifesto, and President Uhuru Kenyatta should not take it all or take all credit. Mike Kagungu with that particular story.
Barely 182 days to the August general election. The political drum beats continues to get louder, with politicians acquiring new dance styles, some dancing to unknown tunes. On Monday, President Uhuru lashed at politicians, whom he said have continuously faulted his administration's performance. President Uhuru slammed his deputy over what he said is neglecting his duties by concentrating on his campaigns.
Lakini mambo ya kuongea maneno matuputupu huko hakuna kitu unafanya. Unaenda huko huko kazi haifanywi juu ya gari, inafanywa kwa maofisi, kwa mahospitali.
And I know too well, I have been in politics long enough that you plan theory in offices, but you execute practicals in the field, sometimes on top of cars. So, hakuna haja ya kusumbuana.
However, in his charm offensive tour of Kakamega County, Ruto said theories should also be implemented on the ground.
And I want to tell them, you cannot deny me as deputy president the credit we have achieved in the many things we have achieved as a government. It is not going to happen, my friends.
The second in command says he has been in government long enough to understand that policies and theoretical works are done in offices, but implemented on the ground, that sometimes forces one to do that while standing or seated on top of cars.
The only team that can build on the success of the last 10 years and correct the wrongs of the last 10 years, the only team with that experience is the Kenya Kwanza team. The other team have no clue where this thing came from and where it is going, and they are obsessed with trying to manage power and to manage positions and to manage succession so that they can continue to lord over the people of Kenya.
Ruto also warned Uhuru of a tough battle ahead of the August 9th elections. He said without him, the Jubilee government will not have materialized, and is well prepared to face the president whom on Monday announced that he will be embarking on a vigorous political campaign now that he has delivered on his manifesto.
Kama singekuweko, serikali ya Jubilee haingetengenezwa. Let us face the truth. Sijui kama tunaelewana. So anybody imagining that they can deny me the credit for the things we did that succeeded in Jubilee are wasting their time.
Ruto defended his track record in government, saying that he took part in each and every project that was successful in the Jubilee administration.
Sasa yale mambo yamefaulu, hawezi kuniondoa katika mambo yaliyofaulu.
I truly respect the women of this country. They are mothers. They are your daughters. They are your sisters. They are your grandchildren. Talk like an elder who has something to offer to the community. Don't talk like somebody who has come from Mathare.
Ruto, whose severe ways with his boss, insists that he will not be cowed by intimidation from his critics who continue to undermine his role. The Kakamega County politics also took center stage as the two main gubernatorial aspirants, Cleophas Malala and Boni Khalwale, reiterated that they will be putting their differences apart and agree on who will fly the Kenya Kwanza flag for county's top seat. Mike Kagungu, TV 47.
Nominated Member of Parliament, Honorable David Ole Sankok, is with us this morning. Constitutional lawyer Ndegwa Njiru as well is with us this morning. And Tongaren Member of Parliament, Dr. Eseli Simiyu, is as well with us this morning. Gentlemen, let's give it to the Deputy President. If we are going to say, Honorable Eseli Simiyu, that he is not part of the successes, then as well the failures of Jubilee should not be tagged on him. And therefore, when he argues that we've sat, we've had these conversations together, we have heard the plans together, we have put the blueprints together, he is justified to argue that way. Right Honorable Raila Odinga will tell you that the Jubilee government has somehow implemented the plans they had set with Honorable Mwai Kibaki at the point of Nusu Mkate government, and therefore you cannot take that away from him. This gentleman who visits your constituency today, I believe. Yes, your actual village today. Does it worry you?
No, it doesn't.
Don't you think he's going to...
No, it doesn't. That area has got 201 registered voters.
Does he have a strong candidate? Does UDA have a strong candidate before the primaries?
The usual fellow have beaten for the last 3 elections.
And so therefore that does not worry you in any way?
He's coming to hold it on a road reserve.
Okay.
And this road reserve was supposed to be a tarmac road. And we fought very hard in 2015-16 to get money allocated for tarmac laying. But unfortunately, that money was changed and it went to tarmac road in Tarbo constituency.
And so if
he's coming, so now I understand why he did that, so that he can reserve this land, so that he can come and do rallies on it. But that said and done, let him come.
And so if the failures are pegged on him, let's agree that as well, the successes of Jubilee should as well be, associated with him?
You should carry both. You should carry both the successes and the failures.
Is the president misplaced? Is the president misplaced? No. He argues that the president cannot say that, Jubilee successes cannot be pegged to the fact that he's also contributed to that.
Well, that's his argument with the president, but my view is they should take both, the successes and the failures.
Right.
But he is trying to run away from the failures and only talk about the successes. But I'm happy that in Western he has avoided that story of tumeunganisha stima, tumejenga barabara, because they didn't. The last mile project failed in Western. It didn't materialize. So it's good, at least he has avoided talking about tumeunganisha stima.
But the roads and the steamer, under whose docket?
Well, he says that ameunganisha stima, amejenga barabara.
The electricity and all that.
Listening to him in the Western Circuit, he has not mentioned that. He knows that's one of the failures.
But he says wameunganisha stima not 100%. A couple of regions in the country.
Yeah, a couple of regions in the country except Western.
Okay. Honorable Sankok, before we come to Wakili, or better yet, let's start with Wakili. Wakili, is it not unfair for the president to argue that, the DP has not been part of the successes of the Jubilee party, whereas there are others who would say, if Jubilee has failed, we're looking at the track record and therefore we're going to question the deputy president on basis of that, especially at this point when he goes to the people in search for votes?
Linda and our listeners, where I come from, there's a saying that we say that's only that person who lives in that house who can tell the story and the tales of that particular house. As in, today I'm not able to tell the tales of your bedroom or your house because I don't live there. So the president, being a person who got into a coalition or an agreement with his deputy, he's the one who understands his deputy better. The president, being the person who chairs all the cabinet meetings and who runs the administration of Jubilee, is the one who understands his deputy better. And so when the president says that this guy has been tanga-tangaing left, right, and center, I have no reason to doubt my president. For one reason, that he understands this person. The president has also gone on record in saying that he has been able to do much more work in his second term, more than what he did in his first term. If you can look at the transgressions and analyze the transgressions Jubilee faced during the first term, when Ruto was solidly in government, you realize that there was much more theft than real work being done. And then when you look and analyze what the president has done, for example, how would Ruto associate himself with the construction of the expressway? When the president was inspecting that road, Ruto was busy campaigning. Ruto was all over the country on top of those cars. When the president is doing the road between Keno and Marwa in Central Province, when the president is doing the Mau Mau Road, where is he? When the president is going to Mombasa to launch these hospital issues and everything, where is he? We cannot see him. And so we credit the president when he says, I have worked much more. I've been able to deliver much more in my second term than in the first term. Should you not forget that the deputy president has stood on the way of the president's agenda in fighting corruption? Whenever the president has the president has constituted a good team, brought up synergy in the fight against corruption, the deputy president is one of those individuals who has been sabotaging the president's delivery on that issue. Well, how? That's a good question. You have realized that whenever the president moves to fight corruption, he has always said and come up with allegations that, you know what, there's no corruption being fought. Oh, we have politicized the war against corruption.
But would you not argue that way?
My guys being fought. Yes.
Looking at what has played out, would you not, carry the same argument that the DP would carry and his allies? That most of the times when they are showing some level of support of this side, they are always targeted. And in as much as
let me ask you, good question. Yeah. Let me ask you: was Governor Waitito of Kiambu impeached? Yes. Was he impeached for having embezzled public funds? Yes. Is Governor Waitito the governor of the president? Does the president originate from that county? Yes. What happened to Governor Sonko? The same things. Look at a person like Gachagua. Gachagua was taken to court for having stolen or for being accused of stolen over 12 billion money belonging to the county of Nyeri. So when
125 million from Bungoma County.
120 million was from Bungoma County. So when we pursue these guys, Ruto has stood on their way. He has immunized them. He has created a political human shield to make sure that these guys are not followed.
Do we then argue that our agencies are not well placed to deal with this? Because if an individual in the name of Ruto would come to alter that, yes, I mean, then we put a question mark on the DCI.
No. It's unfortunate that their political rhetorics are not scoring, because just last week we saw guys being taken to committee.
Yes,
and it's only a process. Even these guys who are going to Ruto for shielding, because Ruto never speaks about corruption, never condemns corruption. He has no policy of fighting corruption. He has never spoken about corruption is in his laris, because he does not believe that corruption can inhibit the growth of a country.
Fair enough.
We are still going to close on them at the appropriate time. Even if we have 2, 3, 4 successful government, and a successive government, the institutions will have perpetuity and will consistently follow on these individuals.
Honorable Sankok, in defense of your preferred presidential candidate, and now that Moshibiwa argues that you can only know the activities that play out in a house if you are part and parcel of that house, you are part and parcel of Jubilee House, would you argue that President Uhuru Kenyatta has a point when he says that, well, the deputy, in as much as he did not mention names, it was almost clear that he is referring to the deputy, has been out there tangering and not been part of the actual successes of Jubilee?
Yes, Linda, first of all, let me say, without an out of doubt, that as the Deputy President said, because I will stand for the truth, not defending my preferred candidate. As the Deputy President has said, is that theoretical work is done in the office, and practical work is done in the field. It is only in primary school that it is almost entirely theoretical. But in institution of higher learning, it is almost 70% practical. And so if there are people who are still in kindergarten or who are still in lower primary, then we will excuse them for thinking that everything in terms of any job is done theoretically.
So but practically, has the DP achieved anything on ground? You can hear what Eseli says.
The work is done. Practicals are done on the field. You plan them theoretically, in the office
Yeah.
and then move out in the field and see if it have been executed.
Okay.
And if it have been executed in the right manner. But to come to your question, I'm an insider of Jubilee. And I'm part and parcel of Jubilee. And yes, in the first term to the first year of our second term, 2018, the deputy president was the principal assistant to the president. And what we have achieved during the first term and the first year of our second term is clear to everybody. And the citizens are not fools. They know it was that time that we built the standard gauge railway. It is in that time that we built 10,000 kilometers of new tarmacs. It is in that time that we had connected electricity. It was that time that we had free maternity. It was that time that we had this universal health care that we started. But in the second term, from 2018, after the handshake, absolutely there is nothing that we have done apart from corruption. In the first term, you will mention for me the corruption that happened in the first term. Because I'll mention to you the corruption that happened when the deputy president was no longer the principal advisor to the president.
Okay.
The 2 billion that was lost every daily, that is from the president. He himself said that we are losing 2 billion daily. He didn't say in the first term, it is in the second term. We have the Kemsa haste. We have the COVID billionaires. It was the first time in the history of Kenya where donations were stolen. The donation from Jack Moore up to now, we don't know where they disappeared. At that time, it was the second term. So I don't know what we are saying that the first time there were corruption. You will mention to me the types of mega corruption that were in the first term. Were not there. Because for us, we don't fight corruption using lips and political maneuvers. We fight corruption and real corruption.
When was the NYS there?
That was first term.
When was the Aurora and Kimwere sagas there?
Second term, according to
All right, okay.
Just a minute, because I told you, you will mention.
Yeah, I'm trying to ask.
You even mention issues of the Western Hotel. We'll mention issues of the KPA land.
My friend, don't be excited because you are sitting with the honorable members of parliament.
You
had your time.
That's very cheap.
You had your time. You had your time. No, he had his time. I didn't interrupt him.
Don't demean people. I have no honor to sit even close to you.
I did not interrupt you.
I know sitting next to members of parliament is
what's the prestige? What is the prestige in it, sir?
Many of them are bounty.
What is the prestige?
They're almost exiting.
You need to escalate your debate.
All right, let's allow him to yes.
No, escalate your debate intellectually.
By the way, he's too excited, and it is not good because I did not interrupt them when they are speaking.
Okay. All right, proceed with your argument, Honorable Senator.
Executing my points.
Yes.
And they are interrupting. Yet while they were executing their points, I was very quietly listening to them so that I can get response.
Are you proud as a member of parliament today, looking at what has been playing in parliament, having been considered? And Honorable Leslie Sibi will tell you has been there long enough.
I know.
They say that this is the worst performing parliament of all times, and he agrees to that.
He is my senior, and if he sees that way, for me I see the opposite because this is my first term.
Okay.
And I've seen a performing parliament. If you talk in terms of how many bills have been passed in this parliament, how many bills are pro-people that have been passed in this parliament, I can assure you that we have done enough as per from my view, because this is my second term. I was once the chairman National Council for Persons with Disability. I used to talk with members of parliament to try and lobby for my bills to pass through parliament.
Was the excitement there when you were talking to them?
Yeah, I was excited because, also when you go and meet the honorable members of the August House, it is rare, by the way. All of us
I agree.
will one day wish to be honored by citizens. Because to be a member of parliament, you are honored. That is why you are called honorable. You didn't honor yourself. You are honored. So I was excited. And by the way, I used to meet the likes of Kinandwale and what they had achieved in National Council for Persons with Disability, like the sign language interpretation that you see nowadays
on TV,
on TV, the tax exemption to persons with disability, they don't pay taxes, the importation of duty-free vehicles by persons with disability, the customized kind of education in training of architects and engineers on disability accessibility, the performance contracting indicators which award marks to those who have mainstream disability in ministries, departments and agencies. There is a lot we can talk about, but I used to use members of parliament. Now I am within, and we have even amended the NHIF Act to include provision of assisted devices to persons with disabilities. And it is the members of parliament of the August House, the 12th of Parliament, who have assisted me in passing that bill so that a person with disability does not have to move from Turkana to come to Nairobi to look for crutches that are worth 1,500, yet we have used fare of 5,000 to come to Nairobi. Now, if the bill is assented by the president, then they will just approach the nearest health center and they will be provided with assistive devices so that we will not have persons with disability crawling in our streets in the 21st century. So,
and therefore you think you have worked as a member of parliament representing your constituents, or generally the August House has done well?
August House, for me, the 12th of Parliament is a marvelous house. It is because maybe I don't compare it with another one.
Why does Honorable Eseli Simiyu argue
because he's comparing with the 11th Parliament, because he was there.
But you cannot help but compare. You know, Honorable Sankok, we cannot help but compare.
What I can say, Linda, is the quality of debate is wanting. Even I would say that the research on issues is also wanting. It's become a sort of almost like a marketplace. It's very sad. It's very sad for the country. But this comes out of, I think it also depends on the quality of legislators that are in that house. Because if you have good quality people, then debate will be of good quality.
Right.
It's a bit like you tested it a little bit here when he used PhD. You know, PhD means put him down. So he was pulling him down, you know.
But this is a constitutional lawyer, Wakili for that matter.
No, that kind
therefore
of,
you might need to take up the challenge to be in parliament, Wakili.
That kind of attitude. And we see a lot of it in this current house, where there's a lot of PhD pull him or her down. It's sometimes I look at the quality of debate, and in fact these days I don't even press that thing to contribute anything. I just listen and watch and
but that then would not be fair for your constituents who elected you to do it.
I do other things in the committees, but you know, you don't want to participate in debate where the quality is so mediocre. I think that's the main problem. But you see, you have to realize that this does happen also in the sense that it is what whoever is sitting on the chair wants it to be.
Right.
Because what comes out of debate is the people contributing. So if the choice of people contributing is going to be mediocre, then the outcome will be mediocre. You can pass very many laws, but if they end up in court being rejected, the courts striking out so many things, it just simply means that you've not done proper research before you pass those legislations. However, we were talking about the DP and his hectoring. You know, he keeps on hectoring. He goes to places to hector people.
Okay.
Like now he's busy hectoring the president. And that is what scares me most. If he's the deputy and he cannot respect his boss, if he became the president, will he respect us who are not even anywhere near where he is? Because if he cannot respect his boss, and this has gone on for quite some time, it's worrying. It's worrying. If that's the kind of person you want to put in State House, who has that kind of attitude, not even respecting his boss.
Is it not two-way, Honorable Eseli Simiyu, and equally acknowledging a democratic space?
But this has started when he kept on hectoring at the president. So when the president responds, then he increases his hectoring, which is very, very disingenuous. However, when the trio start now gallivanting through Western, I just laugh because I look at it as an unholy trinity of land racketeers. Because when you look at the Ford Kenya boss, he has his Tokyo issues, he has got the Ngamia oil fields issues, the Nasewa land, Mumias sugar issues. When you look at the head boss of ANC, he could not even spare the dead on the land issues. Then you look at the DP himself, there's recently the land for Muteshi, which was actually fined 5 million for. So to me, I look at it as an unholy trinity of land racketeers.
All right. Well, we dropped that one for a moment. And yes, Wakili, expound further on the aspect of, the exit of individuals, or better yet, just what it is that President Uhuru Kenyatta speaks of. And, he turns out to be a different face than what it is that we expected. I would want to say that just like the CSAs are now exiting, work space, they are all getting into politics. The president as well says it is now time, and you are going to see us. Just how heavy are these statements, and how much do you suppose the president should be involved in the politics of the day?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Linda. Only just before probably answer that question, you need probably next time when you invite people here to probably give them some little memo on the kind of the debate that we hold here. We hold intellectual debates, and Sankok must learn that we have been there, we have made our contribution, and there is no honor in being a member of parliament, and there is no need of you demeaning people just because you are a nominated member of parliament. So maybe Mr. Sankok, I didn't take that lightly. You might have to watch probably your speech so that you may not trouble people badly, and also know the people you are debating. You are not debating the normal issues we debate in parliament as put by Mheshimiwa. We do quality debates here. Now, permit me just before I go to answer your question on the statement by the president. You can see the president's statement has caused a lot of jittery, in a sense that it has sparked the usual anger that the deputy president has been harboring for the president and the people of Kenya. To an extent that he even claims that had he not been there, Jubilee would not have been constituted. Maybe it's the high time he smells the coffee and understands that Jubilee would still have been even if he was not there. And he also needs to learn that if he also never joined hands with President Uhuru Kenyatta, he would never have become a deputy president. And Mark you, if you look at the analysis of the votes today, I think carried by the nation, you can see significantly he has only about, between 2013 and 2017, he could only boast of about 1.5 million votes. If you compare that with where the president comes from, between 2013 and 2017, the president would have boasted us at that time of about 6 million votes. So who made the other? I mean, does the tail wag the dog, or the dog wags the tail?
For the longest of time, he's been looked at as a kingmaker, and therefore...
a kingmaker in what sense, Linda? Did he make, in 2002, he was with Uhuru Kenyatta. Did he make Uhuru Kenyatta a president?
But the president himself has acknowledged his contribution towards their success, towards their win, and knowing very well that they came in at a very time, at a tough time, a delicate time for that matter, which is actually what has as well been captured on the papers, and so we'll be looking at briefly.
But in 2017, the 2013 election, the emotions were sparked around the whole entire thing of the ICC. So people coalesced together so that we could deal with the issues of what was perceived as then as imperialism. In 2017, the president moved around this country looking for votes. He went to Kakamega, got votes there. He went to Bungoma, got votes there. He went to Kwale, got Muvuria. The president was all over looking for votes. So nobody can then say that he can take the entire credit for having considered government. And let me answer the question of whether he's a kingmaker. I go back to 2002. If he was a kingmaker in 2002, he would have made President Uhuru Kenyatta a president. If he was a kingmaker in 2007, he would have made Raila Odinga a president.
Okay.
So in 1992, if he was a kingmaker, he would not have joined YK92, the dissident group, the group that was cracking people's ribs. He would have simply believed in the democratic principles and used democratic principle to make that particular king. If he was a kingmaker, he would not have perpetrated or overseen the perpetration of the Kiambaa massacre. He would not have taken those routes. He would have dealt with the democratic principles of making a king. So to me, the president's statements are quite heavy, and this is not the first time he's making that statement. He has made a statement previously that we should be careful not to elect thieves. And when he made that statement, even without mentioning names, people started getting stomachaches.
Hold it right there.
Making all sort of allegations. So the president is just warning Kenyans, saying that we need to elect people on the basis of their character and quality. When he says that, yes, you can, there is theory and practical, can he tell us during the second term, when he attended the theories where this planning was done, can he bring us even the minutes of the cabinet where he ever attended to plan the construction of the expressway, to plan the construction of all the developments the president has initiated in this country? He is absent in theory and present in practicals, taking glory of which he has not contributed.
All right, Honorable Sankok.
Yes, first of all, Linda, I don't demean people, but they can demean themselves through the heckling. You know, you have had his time. Now it is my time. Okay. I hope you'll protect me.
I will protect you.
But if you don't protect me, of course, they will demean themselves. Okay. Because Kenyans know that if you have your own time, you also execute to your point, and then you let the other person execute to their point.
Your time.
Honorable Eseli, you know, you said nowadays you don't press the button, you don't contribute. And remember, our workstation is Parliament. We are paid to work within our workstation. If today you are paid, Linda, and you don't do your work in this studio, then I think you are telling Kenyans that you are earning what you don't deserve.
Yeah.
So I think, Honorable Eseli, with due respect, you are my senior, please let us earn from working. If in case we find that Parliament have become rogue, then there's an option of resigning so that you don't earn without working.
Do you suppose the DP is earning what he's working for, or what he has worked for?
Yes, I will explain that.
Yes.
Of course, he had also explained, Honorable Seli have also explained, putting the word unholy trinity of land racketeers and so on. The land issue in this country is very emotive. And I can tell Honorable Seli that there are people who own land the size of Nyanza province. And when we ask them, where are the documentation of how you acquire this land? Because you can acquire land in Kenya through two means. One, being a member of that community land and being allocated land, which is at best equal to your neighbors. You can have 98,000 acres of Kidong Ranch, yet the neighboring community, the Maasai community of Suswa, have 30 acres each. That is a disparity if you are a member of that community. And if you have the 98,000 acres of that land, by buying, because you can also own land in Kenya by buying. So where are the documentation of buying? Some of them are telling us, walinunua kwa wazungu. Mzungu gani huyu alikuwa Mkenya? Wacheni upuzi. Tulifukuza wazungu kutoka Kenya. And wakati tulifukuza wazungu kutoka Kenya, the land that was taken from the colonial masters from Maasai should have referred back to the Maasai. The land that was taken from the Kikuyu should have been given back to the community of the Kikuyu, rather than being given to 2 families or 3 families. And they claim that walinunua shamba kwa wazungu. Mzungu gani hii
Is it not what they speak of these reports that we have?
In TGRC,
yes.
Kiumi land report, and
Landa of BBI was coming to address that
land report. And that is why we are saying that the Ndungu land report, the Kiumi report, and the TGRC report will soon be implemented. And it will be implemented. Because we can't have watoto wa Mahamau wakihangaika, watoto wa masters, wale wenye walikuwa chamba boys ya wazungu, wakiwa hao ndio wako na mashamba.
And you think a crackdown on these 2, 3, Honorable Sankok, a crackdown on these 2 and 3.
It is my time, let me finish.
I want to ask that very note. A crackdown on these 2, 3 families that you're talking about would solve this situation in totality?
Not 3, even there are 5, there are 6, there are whatever, I just gave a figure. Yes, but Kenyans know who own the land the size of Nyanza province, and we know they are salary. We know they are capable of buying, and I think you'll protect me from.
You're protected.
Let me just finish and execute to my point.
But as well,
because
I move to the next one, I think it would be fair for us to exhaust this one and probably
no. It is my time. Let me finish up with whatever.
Honorable Zegwa, note them down so you can respond.
Yes.
I'll give you a chance to
do
that.
Yes. Just let him note down. Because that is why I was noting them down.
All right.
So Ndegwa also claimed that Ruto is not a kingmaker. And I've never been a kingmaker. Let me tell you. In 2002, where he was referring to, he picked Uhuru Kenyatta from a mayor-nominated member of parliament to an opposition leader. He was a kingmaker. Okay. He picked in 2007 Raila from the opposition leader to a prime minister position.
Okay.
In 2013, he picked Uhuru from a member of parliament to the president. So if we say that he's a kingmaker, we cannot deny the fact from him and that he has been a kingmaker. In the YK92, where he was, I think the Secretary General Jirongo was the chairman or something like that, they actually propelled Moi to defeat the then very strong opposition.
Historically, they say kingmakers are not always lucky to get to presidency.
Let me tell you, yeah, historically it may be that.
Not worried?
But we cannot deny him the fact that he has been a kingmaker in Kenyan politics. And those are the facts. Lastly, Linda,
yes,
you have said that the deputy president does not respect the president. I want to ask genuinely, and I wish my president could have been listening to me because I know he will be watching us here. Is there any job that he have given the deputy president and the deputy president refused to execute? Because in our constitution, the deputy president is the principal advisor and the principal assistant to the president. But there is no law that will say the president must listen to the principal advisor advice. He can decide to disregard the advice and take the advice from other quarters, which is not against the law, which is not illegal.
But the DP is entitled to listen to what it is that the president says and follow. What would you make
that is why
of a scenario where the president says, please do not politic, please do not go to this part, wait until we're going to do this some other time, yet you proceed to do that?
We are told, don't politics. Linda, you are a journalist. If today I tell you don't do journalism, yes, so what will you be
Politicians
doing?
are paid to politic.
For me, I'm a politician.
Okay.
And my contract with the Kenyan people is 5 years of being a politician. So I must politic the 5 years because that is my contract. And politics is done within parliament premises and sometimes practically on the ground when we go to launch the project, because SL will tell you that they have project they implement through CDF in which they are the patrons. They have to go to the field and see if the money is used for the intended purpose, because Kenyans will ask him questions.
And lastly, they come with a good report that the money has been used.
Yes, when we have CDF reports in parliament, they bring reports, and in fact, CDF is one of the best money that goes to the people and have affected the lives of people. No, I'm finishing. Just 2 minutes.
Linda,
just 2 minutes.
We need to have
let me have 30 seconds.
30 seconds fair. 30 seconds.
Yes,
30 seconds.
He said that the deputy president does not respect the president. The president of Kenya is not a god. He's a human being.
Okay.
And it is only God that we are reminded every day that we should respect.
Okay.
For human beings, they earn their respect. They don't demand for respect. So please, save
the
us
president
this
has not
reminding, because we respect our president. That is why we elected him in 2002. That is why we voted for him in 2013. That is why we voted for him twice in 2017. We respect him.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, Who said the president is God? Nobody has said the president is God.
Even me, I have not said.
But he's the commander-in-chief, and the laws dictate that he should be respected.
This kind of talk is what I call disingenuous, saying things that...
It's devoid of intellect.
That really don't exist. Where I want to start, Linda, is that perhaps if you look at the CS's exit, to go and run for elective positions, I think it's already telling us something, that our constitution is wrong, where the BBI wanted to sort it out by having ministers taken from parliament, because then you don't have these resignations. So already it's telling us there's something wrong with our constitution. That's why there would be no need to resign if they'd been picked from parliament. Then just because some people have large tracts of land, Sankok therefore wants to justify land racketeering to the extent of Weston Hotel, to the extent of Muteshi's land, to that extent, just because some people have large tracts of land. And I can tell you that in that unholy trinity, they also have large tracts of land. So what Sankok is doing, what Sankok is saying, he should also be telling us the sizes of land that this unholy trinity of land racketeers possesses. Then the issue of calling Ruto a kingmaker from 2002, I think they are just trying to, how do I call it, to pamper somebody and build up his stature, which he doesn't really have. Because honestly, in my time in this country, which is longer than Sankok, and in politics, I don't think Ruto has fought for anything that has benefited anybody in this country. Okay. He has not fought for anything. If we wanted to, the second liberation, getting multi-party democracy, Ruto was against that. He didn't want that. He was deeply in Moi's corner. He didn't want that. If we wanted a new constitution, Ruto didn't want that. He fought against it. So he has never fought for anything that has benefited Mwananchi. He has just come up with this woolly idea called bottoms up, a communist idea which has never really worked. Even in the communist countries like China have had to do away with it and go completely, you know, China is virtually a capitalist country right now. But it's the state that plays the capital.
Is that to say then that it is time to reward Right Honorable Raila Odinga because of the fights that he's put up for the nations, or the kind of things that we have seen him fight for? And does it then justify that he's a project?
It's not Raila alone who has fought for the changes.
Okay.
But for those people who have fought for the changes in this country, Raila is the one left in active politics.
Okay.
So he's the one who symbolizes that fight.
And should be rewarded?
And in my view, when I support him, I'm not rewarding him. I'm supporting him because we think the same way. That this country needs reformation, and that reformation will not be brought about by this unholy trinity.
Wakili,
this unholy trinity, when you look at this unholy trinity, none of them has ever fought for anything in this country. They have only benefited. They are actually carpetbaggers. They have benefited from other people's efforts. And then when they have benefited from other people's efforts, now they want to say, you know, we've done this, we've done this, we've done that, yet they have not done anything. If they have actually just sat there and benefited. Somebody else fights, other people fight, then they just come and reap and benefit. So they are actually carpetbaggers. I don't think we can allow a tree of carpetbaggers to take over the running of this country.
Wakili, we want to have this conversation of the ICC lingering on us today, especially at this point where we're headed to an election? And I would want to assume that the International Court is privy to this information.
Correct.
And therefore, in as much as they would want to treat the case with the urgency, you know, it deserves, there are some things that they would consider, and especially what is enshrined in our Constitution. I know that does not dictate how they conduct the court cases there. But, you know, we speak of the public interest at such a point. We remember the animosity that was brought on board as pertaining to that. We are here with that.
Yeah, thank you, Linda. And probably we might, at the close of this session, be asking Sankok to give us a definition of a professional heckler. Because for us here, we come with a bit of intellectualism to discuss this debate. And so we only pray that he'll be able to match up. I am saying
Honorable Sankok, you want me to protect you on that one? All right, let's proceed. But I would say that is misleading somehow.
The ICC is an issue that has not yet closed down, especially to the case of William Ruto. And of course, the ICC has a history. Granted that the same was constituted in 1998 when the Rome Statute was enacted. There are issues that have happened in this country that requires to be looked into. For example, we need to interrogate the intensity and the effect and the consequences of the YK92. Because YK92, where Ruto was the leader, it ended up in massive and mass displacement of people. The same reoccurred in 1997. It has now reoccurred in 2007. The reason why we have a judicial system in place is to make sure that the judicial system will enhance retribution of crimes and aggressions. So, and until there is a closure and a conviction on the atrocities that happened in Kiambaa Church, the atrocities that happened in Rift Valley, there cannot be healing. Remember, after the Second World War, there was something that was constituted by the NATO. It was called the Nuremberg Tribunal. The Nuremberg Tribunal was to come and convict the generals who were highly responsible for the transgressions and the atrocities that were caused in the world. So if the world at a particular time want to come and interrogate the atrocities caused to humanity, and you can of course go back to the Yugoslavia Tribunal, and you can even go back to the Rwanda Tribunal that was sitting in Arusha. Now you can even go back further and go to Sierra Leone, where they constitute the special court for Sierra Leone, and then you may even go to Cambodia and find there is a special court for Cambodia that was created to deal with atrocities committed in 1975. So why should we have a closure of a transgression of criminal offenses that happened in 2007?
Hold it right there, Wakili. Wakili, I am coming back to you,
yes.
And I'd want to know how then do we do that without triggering more trouble, without triggering more animosity? But allow us to take a quick break and then we come back.
All right, thank you.
Maumivu ya misuli.
Members of Parliament in studio, Dr. Eseli Simiyu, as well as Dr. Ole Sankok David, as we look at these crucial matters and most importantly the scene of politics in the country. So Wakili, briefly as you expound on that one, how do we then address all this that needs to be addressed without triggering more animosity? Remember, we are not immune to some of these things that play out in different countries, and therefore we have to treat this with the delicate aspect that it deserves.
The unfortunate thing, Linda, when Ruto's case collapsed in the ICC because of infiltration of witnesses, was a toxic situation, and so toxic in the sense that you can now see that it's repeating itself. You've had, because of failure to punish that particular crime. And we must distinguish these two cases. President Kenyatta's case was dismissed for lack of evidence. So there was no evidence that was tabled that could have said that you took part in these atrocities. And then the court dismissed that case. William Ruto's case was withdrawn for having interfered with evidence and witnesses. And that is where we are saying that the ICC is now revisiting the case. And a case that has been dismissed cannot be revisited. A case that has been withdrawn, can be revisited. Now, what am I saying? I'm simply saying, due to the failure to punish these atrocities that were committed in 2007, we have now seen a recurring of that thread again occurring. Even this morning, the same has been mentioned by Honorable Sankok. The other day, they were in Eldoret. They indicated that, you have to deal with Madoadoa people. That is the same sentiments that were used in Rwanda, they were used in Cambodia, they were used in Sierra Leone. People used to be cut short sleeve and long sleeve. It's being used by Connie in northern Uganda. And the same statement has been repeated here. How? Honorable Sankok believes that there are some individuals and some communities, some people from certain communities who should not own land in Kenya. That's why he's saying that, how do you own land in a Maasai community and you're not a Maasai? How do you own land in a Kikuyu community and you're not a Kikuyu? That is a very retrogressive way of thinking.
In defense, no. Honorable Sankok, you wouldn't counter that. Is that exactly what you said?
That's what he said. No, he gave an example of Kidong. And he put a question that how would you have land in Kidong and the Maasais don't have? They are trying to eject very toxic venom into people.
Let's allow him respond to that.
Yes, first of all,
let's allow him respond to that.
Linda, intellectually, we have to understand some of these things. I say there is two ways of acquiring land in Kenya. One, being a community member of that land, group land. If you are a community member, you'll be allocated land. The second way that I explained that you can own land is by buying land. And if you are buying land, then there must be documentation of how you bought the land. But don't tell us, ulinunua kwa wazungu, kwa sababu hakuna wazungu walikuwa wa Kenya. And if you are allocated land as one of the members of that communal land, then you must have acreage that is almost closer to your neighbors. You can't have 98,000 acres of land, while the neighboring community of Suswa, the members were given 30 acres each. It does not make any sense, because at least even if you have 50 or so. So that is what I say, and that is the fact that in Kenya you can acquire land through being allocated or through buying. Yes, and you can buy land anywhere in this country. That is what I said. And now,
you can even grab
racketeer, and that is his main concern now.
That was my main concern.
That was his main concern.
Those who grab land. Yes. That's why I've said, if you did not get through the two channels,
yes,
then
there is a problem.
There is a problem.
That cannot be the
then if there are those who are
that cannot be the position.
Then there are those are pointing out are racketeers in land. So fine, then let's do this. Let's reject both.
Okay.
The ones who grab land and the land racketeers.
Of course, those who grab land are not part of the two ways of owning, acquiring land.
Then also
Kenya.
Reject the racketeers. As you reject the grabbers,
if you are so
reject the racketeers.
By those people.
Because these racketeers, land racketeers that I've pointed out. So you should reject both.
All right.
But
my
Linda,
friend, you know, they kept on mentioning the issue of Muteshi land. Muteshi land was a land that William Ruto bought.
No, we didn't mention William Ruto.
I'm mentioning it because I know about Muteshi.
Even the person.
If they have mentioned the land, then I mention who bought the land. And then William Ruto bought the land.
You see, that was brought on board
and it was in court.
To refer to the aspect of corruption. Yes.
In a settlement scheme.
Yeah.
And I can assure you, in that constituency, I know who owns the biggest sizes of land.
Okay.
So William Ruto cannot hide and say he didn't know that Muteshi owned that land. Anyway, I wanted to say this about that ICC matter.
Yes.
This ICC matter, by the way, now that Sankok is here, I was in the 10th Parliament. It's William Ruto and his gang that took Kenya to The Hague. Because that time, President Mwai Kibaki and Prime Minister Raila Odinga tried very hard to whip us in Parliament to accept a local tribunal. A local tribunal to sort out that matter. They really tried to whip us very hard to get to agree that we set up a local tribunal to avoid the Hague matter. And you remember the mantra that, as usual, the jingoism and the mantra that came out, don't be vague, let's go to the Hague. That was William Ruto's team saying, don't be vague, let's go to the Hague. So actually, William Ruto played a very big role in getting Kenya to the Hague.
And therefore, in this case, it comes back to bite, a poison that quoted and...
You see, he has always done that. That's why you find, like, even now, he has been denying coalitions, that coalitions are no good, Now he's going that direction. You know, he always denies something, then goes, you know, it's not reliable. He even said that the tribal chiefs, what. Now who has he gathered himself with? So those are also tribal chiefs.
Okay.
So he's always doing these funny things. That's why I can't trust him to be president of this country. Okay. He took this country to the Hague.
Without focusing much on the persona of
the people at the forefront,
when
when Parliament now rejected the local tribunal bill that had been brought to Parliament, when we got out of Parliament, the people at the forefront shouting, don't be vague, let's go to the Hague.
But do you suppose the local tribunal would have given us anything in terms of what it is that Wakili would wish for? You know, there has to be someone who's going to be answerable. It
would have avoided Kenya being at the ICC.
Which is not a plus for us?
No, if we had a local tribunal to sort out this matter, it's like the Truth and Reconciliation, whatever, this would have been a better situation than now having people taken to the Hague.
And a majority of African countries are saying that ICC is treating our cases with bias, Wakili.
Well, there they are, but they rejected a local tribunal.
Okay.
So this was part of William Ruto's making. It's a fact that Kenyans can't run away from. If you want, go back to the Hansard and go back to the news clips that were there when they came out singing, let's not be vague, let's go to the Hague. It was William Ruto's team that was pushing
Why would they have done that if they knew that, I mean, that probably would be a show of a person who says we're not guilty.
Short-sighted, because the president then, Mwai Kibaki, and the prime minister then, Raila Odinga, tried.
If they said otherwise, maybe they could have been accused of knowing very well that they're guilty. That's why they were trying to run away from...
No, I don't... They had their reasons for avoiding the local tribunal.
Okay.
But that now exposed Kenya to this
international
problem.
And therefore they're going to be here lingering until we exit, which in most cases, many would argue, is not an easy process.
They exposed us to the Hague.
Yeah.
But I've just given you the history of the Hague matter so that you can now picture what William Ruto is doing now. In the sense that he keeps on saying coalitions, hakuna,
no BBI, but then when it comes to benefits.
Once the law has been passed, you know, he fights for nothing. Once people fight and pass the law in Parliament, now he benefits from it by forming coalitions.
Let's show that one. Let's show that one.
Then quickly...
You put a question to me about the local tribunal.
Make it very brief so that Honorable Sanko can as well weigh in on this.
Yeah, the importance of the local tribunal would have been that would have been able to domesticate our own processes of trying to create a cohesive and a unified country by, of course, looking at our history and addressing those issues that ail us. You know, if we created a local tribunal, and that is why people like William Ruto did not want it, it would have gone back to history and interrogate the atrocities that were caused by the KANU Youth Wingers, where he was a member. It would have brought us to 2007, to 1997, where the Akiumi report details the atrocities that were created. It would have created a platform for reconciliation like the one that was created in Rwanda through the Gashasha courts by having an opportunity of repenting, forgiving each other, and of course having a reconciliatory process. But now that did not happen. It never happened because there are some individuals in this country who do not believe in the creation of institutions that work. They knew that if the local tribunal was to be created, they would not have perpetrated the mischief they perpetrated, which mischief is now coming to revisit them at this particular time through the Geshero's court, the Geshero's case. So finally, what I'm simply saying is, and I agree with Mheshimiwa, Ruto has never stood for anything in this country. He has never stood for any reform. He has no reform agenda that he can speak to. And if he has, he should then speak to it today. Let him tell us, since I joined Parliament 30 years ago, this has been my contribution. Unfortunately, the only fingerprints and the footprints that he leaves behind are footprints and fingerprints where he has perpetrated massive theft of public resources.
Grand lesson.
That is the only... You can even ask me to substantiate.
Wakili, yes, and I keep telling you, why is it that he walks scot-free, knowing that very well? And I mean, maybe you might need to go and substantiate that somewhere in
he walks
the DCI
offices.
Let's allow him come in.
No, let me finish. Why he walks through is because when we go to interrogate how he acquired Weston Hotel, When we go to interrogate how he hired this hustler's jet that cost millions of shillings.
He has the capability
when
to
we go to interrogate how he acquired Mutesi's land.
Gong Forest land.
When we go to interrogate how he acquired the Gong Forest land for
let's
KPA.
Be fair.
Yeah, you know, he has his ability and his ways of trying to maneuver and completely dismantle the process that is interrogating. No, but he's the one who is hailing this country.
This one man?
Hitler is the one who was hailing the whole world.
Okay,
he's another Hitler here in Kenya.
Honorable Sankok.
Yes, I think, Linda, they have said that Ruto never fought for anything. And partly agree with them because Ruto don't fight for leadership positions that can be shared in terms of BBI and the creation of prime minister.
What is it? What is that he has formed now? Kenya Kwisha is what? No, Kenya Kwisha.
Don't treat us to that.
What is Kenya Kwisha?
They should not treat us to that.
When I talk about professional
let's allow him to
you
have.
can now see.
No.
Can you?
Now this explains what professional hackers are.
Can I be given time?
Let's allow him to speak.
Of course, you did not have any point, but I did not interrupt.
It explains what professional hackers are.
Yes, because now it is my time.
Okay, it's your time.
Honorable Sankar.
Why don't they wait?
It's your time.
Give me my time.
It's your time.
Yes. So, Ruto never vote for anything that is a creation of opposition in terms of BBI, creation of opposition of prime minister, or fought for anything for leaders and the top of our economic pyramid. What he have been fighting for is for people on the lower bottom of the economic pyramid. That is why we are talking about
let's allow him to articulate his point. Yes.
Yes, let me execute my point. I did not interrupt him.
Proceed, Honorable Sankok.
That is why he reduced fertilizers while he was the Minister of Agriculture. From 6,000 to 2,500 shillings.
Linda,
so that no. I did not interrupt you.
We cannot allow him.
I did not interrupt you. So
pull a lie
now
on national TV.
Now 2,500.
He argues it's a lie. It's
no, he will have his time to respond. I am responding to whatever they said.
Okay.
Whatever lies they said. Okay. But I did not interrupt them because I'm not a professional heckler. Okay. I wait and then I note them down.
Point them
they
down,
have the pens.
Let them
note them down.
Okay.
So Ruto, he was the agriculture minister when the fertilizers were reduced from 6,000 to 2,500 so that the bottom of the pyramid characters can also afford.
And such has been the situation all through because we always seek to get long-term solutions, those ones that are notable. We speak of multipartism, we say it has been a long-term solution. And so when we're talking about reduction of prices of fertilizer, is that the case up until
when he was sacked?
Were there structures that were set to make sure that
when he was sacked as a Minister of Agriculture, of course the people who always think about the top of the pyramid also altered now that he was not at the helm. Now let me go to the next one. Let me go to the next one.
Yes. Honorable Sankok, proceed. You are protected. You are protected.
I think you are the only one who can ask me
questions. Yes, proceed. No, at some point during a debate it's allowed to interject, but then
yes, but with a point of order so that I can also keep quiet. You know, when you gave him a point of order so that I can respond. That's when I came in. I don't come in when they are speaking. So let them allow me.
Please.
Also execute my point. They have the pens. Let them note whatever I've said. If it is a lie, they will have a right to respond.
Yeah.
Yes? He's a lawyer and he knows what happened in court.
There's always time
time for everybody. Yeah. So again, he became the Minister for Higher Education. And at that time, it was that you stay for 2 years before joining university if you are poor. But if you are rich, those on the top of the pyramid, they will go directly because they will go to private universities and even universities overseas. So he saw the plight of the hustlers, the people on the bottom of the pyramid. That is why he introduced double intake. And I think even my friend here, Wakili, may have been...
It's all right, just note it down.
Just note it down.
You can counter. Note it down so you can counter. Note it down.
So he introduced double intake.
God, what a
and that is when now even those who are from the poor families, even up to today, They finish high school and they go direct to the university. We are wasting 2 years. Courtesy of Ruto, we are no longer wasting those 2 years. Now, let me just finish.
Okay.
Let me finish. You know, let them not interrupt me because that is professional.
But Honorable Sankok, in the event that there's something to question, then I think it is only
they
fair
cannot,
to question.
They
because we cannot mislead the public.
You can even question, you can question me. Them they cannot, and then they will respond. Now,
proceed.
let us
make
go
it brief so we can have them come in.
No, it is you who are interjecting me. If you had given me time to finish, I will have finished.
Finish your points.
No, you don't tell me to sum up.
Wakili, let's allow him his time.
Are you the moderator?
I've granted him leave.
Honorable Sankok, let's look at time. Yeah, we're almost closing this. Proceed.
It is you people who are in that.
Proceed. You are at point 3.
And you'll allow me to.
Yes.
You people will allow me.
Yes.
Okay. Now they have said.
Emotions.
Right. Can I be allowed to execute my point?
Please do.
They said it is time to reward Raila Odinga for fighting for this country. He fought for what? That is a question that I will ask them, and they will note it down, so then let them not respond to me at this point.
Okay.
And did he fight for this country with a price tag? That I am fighting so that I can be given so and so. So he was not fighting for the country, he was fighting for his stomach.
Let me remind you that Honorable Leseli said that it is not because he should be rewarded, but it's because he believes in what it is that he is selling. They are having the same ideas and therefore like-minded, and that's the reason why he supports his presidency.
Thirdly, the main contestants of the 2007 general election, in which Kenya almost was at the brink of civil war, were Mwai Kibaki and Raila Odinga. And unfortunately, it caught Mwai Kibaki by surprise. But for Raila Odinga, he has been a man on a career of violence. He is the single denominator of violence in Kenya. Because in 1982, he was in the mix of that coup. Yes, and his name appeared. In 1997, he was also one of the contestants of the presidential election.
But not legally implicated.
Listen, no, just allow me. So 1997.
Some of Honorable Sankok.
Yes, I'm finishing.
No,
it is you who are interjecting me.
You know, it is him.
If you don't interject me, I'll finish.
Honorable Sankok, proceed.
Yes. So in 1997, he was the one who read the rejection speech of the outcome of the election. And Kenya again had post-election violence. In 2007, he literally used the bridge of dead bodies to get nusumkate, nusumkeka kind of
would be
government.
on the extreme.
No.
And
in 2013, again, he rejected the outcome of the election.
Fair enough. Let's allow him to come in.
No, I'm finishing. In 2013, he also rejected the outcome of the election, and that is why Kenya went into post-election violence. In 2017, he was again the one who rejected the outcome of the election. And unfortunately, he has been the only one who reject the outcome of the election in Kenya when we have post-election violence. And I can give you the example.
The very last
Let
one
me
was
give you an
nullified by
example.
the court.
In 2002.
It was nullified by the court.
In 2002. But he was told to go for a repeat election. Not go for the repeat election.
Let's have the response.
In 2002.
Fair enough.
In the name of Raila Odinga. In 2007. No. That is my last one. No, that is my last one. In 2002. In 2002.
He wants to rewrite history.
In 2002.
I don't know why he was.
I don't know why he was.
I don't know why he was in 1992.
The point is
2002.
Where was this guy in 1992?
In 2002, the name of Raila Odinga was not in the ballot box. We had a peaceful election and a peaceful
Do we leave him alone on this TV station?
Proceed.
This fellow wants to rewrite history about violence in this country. From 1992, when the tribal clashes started in this country, was it Raila doing it? I can assure you, us in Bungoma faced it hard.
1992, it was his father.
We faced it hard. We faced it very hard.
Yes.
And by the way, some of the people perpetrating it were members of YK92. And they proceeded to do the same in 1997. People were displaced, be it from Mount Elgon, be it from Trans Nzoia, be it from wherever.
Raila was even number 5 when he read the rejection.
Can you shut up?
Can you allow him to proceed? Yes.
In around Tarbo there, people lost their land. They have never gone back again. So when he talks about violence in this country, either he was a toddler or whatever he was, but he wants to distort history. Then when did about the fertilizer prices?
Yeah.
I would like Honorable Sankok to do a bit more research. In fact, I'm very proud Kenyan that when we first went to the 10th Parliament, I was the first member of Parliament to ask a question about the price of fertilizers in this country.
Thank you.
And why they are only bringing DAP and not any other fertilizer without testing the soil. And soon after that, the cabinet was appointed, the Grand Coalition Cabinet, where Ruto ended up being the Minister for Agriculture. And the Grand Coalition then sat down to subsidize the fertilizer. It's not Ruto who subsidized. It was the Grand Coalition government. Because they then decided to subsidize the fertilizer. So that fertilizer landed at a certain price, then the government would pay a certain price and the farmers pay a lower price.
It's a win because he was manning the docket.
He was on the docket,
yes,
but he cannot take sole credit. In fact, that credit should go to Mwai Kibaki. Now, what happened?
And you for bringing
up the question.
I'm saying no, shut up.
Okay.
Congratulations. Shut up.
Let's allow him. Okay.
In the process, this is what happened. The companies that were bringing the fertilizer finally were traced to the ownership of William Ruto himself.
Okay.
Getting the government subsidy. And remember, in the 10th Parliament, the maize scandal, which we almost impeached William Ruto as Minister for Agriculture. What was happening? From Cereals Board, they were doing some shenanigans there with the millers, and then people making a lot of free money through William Ruto's doing. We wanted to impeach him in Parliament, but somehow he managed to get, that time he was still in ODM. He managed to, and he was sanitized.
He was sanitized by ODM.
The numbers in Parliament. In fact, ODM had one more than the PNU side. So somehow he managed to wangle out of it. But that still stands. So when you talk about Minister for Agriculture and you want to get credit for the fertilizer and you don't want to talk about the maize scandal, then that is also very, very disingenuous. About double intake. Before I joined politics in 2007, I was a senior lecturer in the medical school, University of Nairobi. And double intake had already started.
Okay.
It's not William Ruto who introduced double intake. Double intake had already started. In fact, at one time at the medical school, we had such a huge number that it was difficult to even take them through the clinical training at Kenyatta Hospital. So double intake was not Ruto's creation. Double intake had already started before. So this issue of Sankok saying that William Ruto introduced double intake, it's a lie.
Okay.
It's a lie.
Hold it right
an
there.
outright lie.
We should hold it right there. We're coming back to you. Okay.
When he says that because Raila fought for whatever, so we want to reward him, the truth of the matter is, and I said this before, Raila did not fight alone for the political space in this country.
Yeah.
He had people with him. Kina the late Kenneth Matiba, kina the late Michael Kijana Wamalwa, the late Masinde Muliro, so many,
of today
kina Rubia, kina all these people, they fought together to have the multi-party democracy and open up the political space. I said that of all these people, there are some who are still alive but no longer in active politics. There are those who are still alive and are in active politics, like the governor of Makueni, Kibuda Kibwana, the governor of Meru, Kiraitu Murumi, Kina Martha Karua, Kitobi Manyara. But the one who is at the forefront now of those people who fought for all the things that we are enjoying, the political space that they are enjoying on top of huge gasolas and visiting my village market at home to Hector.
You must have gotten updates by now.
To Hector at me. They are benefiting from these people's fight. Now, the only person left there for inactive politics who is closer to getting to State House is therefore Raila. We are not supporting him to reward him. We are supporting him because we believe in the ideals that he believes in. So that one he should get right. And if he's talking about reward, and what's wrong with rewarding, if that were to be, if that were to be the case. But that is not the case.
Let's take a quick break, and then Wakili, I come back to you. We have to take it. It's a commercial break, and then we come back for you so that you are able to respond. Remember, we're supposed to
At is fighting for the people at the bottom. When did he suddenly realize that there are people at the bottom? Then he starts fighting for them.
When you connect
after this break. After this break.
Which one?
When you connect the electricity.
Unlocking in
because you know there are so many people living with disability in
Not
Kenya.
people living with
persons.
disability.
Persons with disability. Thank you for the correction.
You must not demean
I agree.
persons with disability.
I
We are not
apologize.
He has withdrawn
with
that.
disability like those living with HIV/AIDS.
Apologies.
We are persons.
Now,
with
don't expound it even further. Don't make it even
No,
worse.
I have to mainstream.
No, thank you.
All right,
Thank you
don't
for
make
the
it even
correction.
worse, Honorable Sako.
Thank you for the
Okay.
correction.
Okay.
So that you may give other people opportunity for nominations, that you declare you do not want any further nominations, you and Honorable Mwaura. Now, you know, we are looking at the character of an individual here. And character is the one that forms a person. And character also forms institutions and even government. I want to invite Kenyans to look at something called Wikipedia. When they look at Wikipedia, they just type William Ruto. You'll find that there is a page of his early life and education, political career. Then you scroll down, you'll find there is something called the controversies in Wikipedia. Now, the first controversy is the controversy of land grabbing. And what does Wikipedia say? Ruto has been involved in very many reported land grabbing controversies in Kenya, with many victims left dead, many receiving death threats, to a level most media, politicians, and activists often describe as Mashaba. Then he goes to Western Hotel land. Further, he goes to KPC, that is Kenya Port Corporation land in Ngong.
Kenya Pipeline.
He goes to post-election violence, the controversies. Joseph Murubi's land, 900 acres, where you come from, you're not defending that. That Murubi's land, 900 acres for the Maasais, was taken by one individual. Check out your history. Then there is corruption allegations. Then there is Jacob Jumas as a
Wakili, let's not focus much on that because that is in Wikipedia.
No,
for
I'm
people
trying to
go
show,
and, yes.
you know, he has described the character for Azimio candidate. In law, we say, when you bring your character as a defense, the prosecutor has the responsibility and the power and the duty to bring the bad character about you. If you say I'm a person of good character, the prosecutor will have to bring the bad character about you. Okay. So that's the kind of the prosecution I'm doing. The kind of the person we are being told believes in reforms has actually been accredited with very awful and very bad allegations in the eyes of the public. But going forward, how do we resolve these issues? We resolve these issues by making sure that we elect persons who are fit to hold offices. How do we begin to analyze them? We begin to analyze them by putting them as against the standard of the leadership and integrity provisions. And this is the work of the IBC to help us to make sure that these ignominious individuals do not get anywhere near power. You know, when we say that individuals with court cases of involving corruption should not vie for any seat, they tell us that you have to exhaust all the appeal mechanisms. So the IBC needs to have a clarification. When there is a conviction, for example, the conviction of this member of parliament, I'm forgetting his name, Daktari, is from your region, the one who stole NCPB, maize, who is now associated with William Ruto. He's one of his campaigners. What is his name? He had even been incarcerated.
Waluke.
When Waluke has actually been convicted and found guilty, is he fit to hold a public office? When a person has taken plea before the courts that we individuals have created and we have donated our powers to, are they fit to hold offices? Those are the questions that we need to answer to. For one reason, Linda, that we need to create and to set good examples to our children. The example that we are now setting, we are setting very bad example that one, the president should not be respected. One, if you disagree with the president, you must say all manner of things about him. If you disagree with the president, you'll have to demean him. If you disagree with the president, you have to discredit him. The unfortunate thing that Ruto does not understand is discrediting the president who comes from our region means that he's discrediting the people of our region. And when he comes, when William Ruto comes, we'll ask him, we'll put him to task that if you can respect one of our own, whom we offered to who offered his services to this country.
Now that's the mountain.
What will make you, yes, that's now the mountain. What will make you respect us? Let me tell you, Linda, as I sum up and I grant them the opportunity and the latitude to submit. If you find a leader who demeans your leaders, it tells you that he has no respect even for that particular community. And so we are saying, rather than what was put forward by Brother Atuoli, in whose hands are we safe? Since Kenyans are not able to answer that question, then we should have a reverse. In whose hands are we not safe? And those are in the hands of the person who has been described
we have to shelve this one for a moment.
By Wikipedia.
And we're coming to a close.
We are not safe in the hands of William Ruto.
It's the exit stage, eh?
Give me the...
latitude to respond.
Yes.
Make it very brief.
Yes. You have talked about Murumbi land. And the family of Murumbi sold this land through an FC loan, and that is how it was bought. We are so busy trying to know how 3,000 acres of Mao forest was grabbed by the Moi family and now sit in Kiptagich tea factory. We are too busy looking for the 98,000 acres of Kidong Ranch that was stolen from the Maasai community. So the Murumbi land is a family land that was sold.
Gentlemen, let's not delve
we
much on that
we have already
aspect,
seen the documentation of how it was sold through an FC loan. So we have all the documentation. But how the 3,000 acres of Mao was grabbed by the Moi family that now have Kiptagich tea factory. We have to.
What about the
gentlemen, I'm afraid we might have to close on that.
No, he had asked me about land in Narok. You know, he had asked me about land in Narok.
Yes.
If they want to ask me more questions,
you don't have to
let them relax
You've already
first.
submitted on that.
Let them relax.
You can submit on new facts.
You know, I was
We have had
Honorable Sankok, how about to shelve that one?
No, we have had
just a minute.
Submit on how to solve. Let him submit on how to solve.
No.
Let him submit on how to sort out the problem.
You know the problem.
Wakili, let's allow him.
Yes, because he's not the one asking me.
Like we say, is,
but protect me from them. You know, they have, when they were prosecuting their points or the meeting, I did not interject.
All right, make it brief then. Close it.
When you see us interject,
so I have already finished. No, you are just a professional heckler. I have finished with what I have submitted in terms of the land. Now the issue is that I want to thank Honorable Iseli for what he said that he contributed in terms of reduction of fertilizer. But the person at the helm of the agricultural ministry at that time was William Ruto,
and therefore he carries the
credit. So he carries the credit.
Not even the
now
William Ruto carries the credit.
No, the last time. Yes. Now I'm going to, let them just relax. I gave them their time. Now, I have to ask a few questions so that they can also answer me. They have asked me the questions. Now it's my time to ask 4 questions, and very briefly. One,
they might not be
those of the couple, those who are in the attempted coup of 1982, most of them were hanged.
That's a tired story.
What happened with Raila Odinga, who was also mentioned? Now let us go. Those who are with him in NASA, only him who got the handshake. What happened with the other principal?
Okay.
Those who actually assisted him to be sworn in, including TJ Kadwang or Miguna. They are suffering. TJ Kajwang had a case in court. Miguna was deported. What happened with him?
Does it then sanitize
now,
him?
No, is it because of sanitizing? That is what I wanted to ask.
Okay,
now, lastly, the issue of me creating an opposition for persons with disability.
And I'm asking, UDA members are saying that they're not able to exit Jubilee because the registrar of political parties is frustrating. Is that true in any way?
Let me answer him first so that I can answer you.
And we have to close.
Yes. So he had said that I should give an opportunity for another person. And I want to go on record. And I have gone on record on this TV and you, Linda, you can bear me witness that I retired voluntarily from National Council for Persons with Disability, and I am happy that I created an opportunity for another person with disability by the name Peter Mushiri, who is now the chairman, National Council for Persons with Disability. Again, I had made it clear in 2018 that I will only go for 1 term and then retire voluntarily from politics to do other things. But I will politic until my contract by Kenyans of being a politician ends, and that ends on 9th August this year. Lastly,
we'll be watching.
I will not speak of Maura. Maura is another person. He's not. He's a perpetual nominee. He's now contesting in Ruiru.
All right, we're closing it.
And lastly, if you are telling me about nomination of being nominated, perpetual nominees or they are being nominated, remember Uhuru Kenyatta was first nominated before he became any other leader.
A majority of
no.
There's no comparison.
If that is the trend of nominated members of parliament, you may find me as a president in future. If Ruto, if Uhuru became a nominated member of parliament and became the president, that is my trend. So that is my trend, my friend.
I think what I would alert Kenyans is in the coming election, they should be very careful who they elect for president.
Right.
Because remember, William Ruto and his cabal of Kenya Kwisha are actually carpetbaggers who have never fought for anything.
It is called Kenya Kwanza.
But they benefit from what other people have fought for. Even now, that Kenya Kwisha has been formed based on the political party's amendment bill that we passed, which William Ruto's people opposed. But now he has jumped on it and is now formed this Kenya Kwisha.
We brought amendment, we did not oppose.
He has brought this Kenya Kwisha. So Kenyans should
brought
be wary.
amendments.
This William Ruto is deceptive. And if you listen to Ole Sankok here, you realize that they are trying to create a new William Ruto, who is not the William Ruto that we know, whose DNA is carpetbagger. I think they are trying to create somebody new who is not the William Ruto that we know. So I would alert especially the youth who were born more recently, please don't be cheated that you should not look at history. You must look at history.
What happened to Nigeria over the weekend?
Especially
let me have my part.
That is the history.
Who is a heckler now?
Let me just have
30 seconds, Wakili. 30 seconds.
I would urge the people from Mount Kenya. The president has been speaking to you people. And you know, in Kikuyu we say, Mugene Mutare. That means those
that
guys.
Is a language. Maybe it's a business.
Yeah, I'm explaining.
He's explaining it.
That's simply saying those people who will make good choices have been well advised. Okay. We cannot rely on any other person's advice other than the advice of President Uhuru Kenyatta.
And Nyoro and Gachagua, they are also
the Gachaguas.
Gachagua should bring back the money.
Why are you saying that one person is your own and the rest?
Before I listen to Gachagua.
Gentlemen, I have to close.
Has been accused of stealing from police.
They will listen to Moses Kuria, they will listen to Gachagua.